Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Coffee Chatter. We're going to go straight to TV world because there's a lot going on. A TLC show is actually in jeopardy. After an anti-gay comment by a woman of the House, Michelle Duggar, close to 75,000 people have signed a petition to get 19 Kids and Counting canceled. Will it work? We will have to wait and see. TV Land responds to Bill Cosby's countless allegations. TV Land has joined the party and weighed in on the Cosby scandal, but they sided with the fans and removed The Cosby Show from their weekend lineup. Many states have also removed his live comedy routine from their schedules. Where do you stand on the allegations? I'd love to hear your thoughts on this scandal that is sweeping the media by storm. A talk show host also gets axed. Talk show host Queen Latifah has gotten the axe on her popular syndicated morning talk show. The show, which here in New Hampshire airs at 11 a.m. on Fox, was canceled this week. ABC gives another new comedy a full season pickup. In light of so much bad news in television, ABC has some good news to share. Hit Friday night comedy Cristela has earned a full season lineup. Lifetime kicks off a new reality series tonight. Lifetime is trying its hand at combining reality TV with faith. A new show titled The Sisterhood begins tonight at 10 p.m. Eastern Time and follows 5 young women as they journey through the discernment process of becoming consecrated religious sisters, also known as nuns. This show promises a lot, from faith to high emotions. Please tune in at 10 p.m. tonight on Lifetime. Lifetime is 36 to New Hampshire Comcast members. It would be a breath of fresh air to see a little faith-based reality series on TV and have it last. If the show gets a second season pickup, I will feature one of the stars of the show in an interview segment. Now let's talk about the first night of the finale for Dancing with the Stars. Welcome to the finals. This week's episode is split into 2 nights, so I will have a review of tonight's happenings in next week's show. But I promise that I will post the Mirror Ball winners in a breaking news status and Twitter tweet. But first, let's talk about last night, Monday night. It also featured 2 rounds, the judges' pick, where a judge assigns a dance for the couple to redo, and the beloved freestyle dance. Kicking off the night was Bethany and Derek, who were visited by Bruno, who gave them their jive from week 1. The first week they earned a 32, and while they did improve score-wise, I felt it was still very hesitant at places, as if she were waiting for Derek to make the next move and remind her what to do. Their score last night was a 36. Sadie and Mark were visited by Len and reassigned their samba from Personal Stories Week, simply because Len wasn't there to see it the first time. Their score was a 37 the first shot, and they got a 38. So they increased by 1. Janelle and Val were visited by Julianne and given the samba. Their first time, they earned a 33, and this time they earned a 37. I thought it was a great dance considering she had a rib injury. Alfonso and Whitney finished out the first half with a jive, also from week 1. They were visited by Carrie Ann, who instead of hounding them on their dance, instead chose to work on Alfonso's injuries. Their original score was a 36, and they cleaned it up, earning a perfect 40. The second half featured everyone's favorite, the freestyle. For the first time in 19 seasons, or at least I think, everyone earned a perfect score. Bethany and Derek danced to a song called Revolution, which focused on Bethany's revolution from the shy, bullied girl to the free spirit, alive dancer. It was dramatic and interesting, but I did not see one hint of ballroom. I understand that there are no rules, but I feel like they should still at least put some form of ballroom in their freestyle. After all, that's what Dancing with the Stars is ballroom dancing. Their total for the night was 76. Sadie and Mark went way out of the book with a Mario Brothers video game theme. It was really neat and creative and made everyone feel like a kid for a few minutes. Their total was a 78. Janelle and Val stuck to simplicity and stripped down their dance to almost make a contemporary out of it, keeping it simple and elegant, and that is what it was. They danced to I'm Gonna Be 500 Miles, which is most famously done by Celtic Thunder. However, because it was stripped, it was much slower. Their total was 77. Alfonso and Whitney danced an amazing freestyle that had a mix of all the dances they've done this season, as well as a tap solo. It was awesome. Their score was a perfect 80. This is by far the closest finale I've seen in a while. But unfortunately, someone had to go home last night, knocking the finalists down to 3. The bottom 2 were Janelle and Val versus Bethany and Derek, and surprisingly, Bethany and Derek were sent away, 1 spot shy of the top 3. This has to come as a blow to Derek's ego, since he hasn't been out of the top 3 in many seasons. Our cold case section takes us back to the start of the alphabetical order of states, which was Alabama, for a body that was found. The woman's body that was found on December 4th of 2005 in the Dixiana, Bradford area has been identified by investigators as Trina Dickerson Robertson. It appears that Miss Robertson may have been killed at another location and the body moved after her death. Anyone with information about her death or the moving of the body, please call the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office. Detective Sergeant Rod Robinson or Detective Sergeant Felicia Rucker at 205-731-2815. Crime Stoppers is offering a $1,000 reward for information leading to an arrest in this case. Crime Stoppers can be reached at 254-7777. There has also been a $10,000 reward offered by Barber's Dairy. For some reviews in the review corner, first of all, I have a TV show to review for you, Psychic Intervention. This TV show is new to the LMN lineup. LMN is Lifetime Movie Network, and airs on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. LMN is $2.70 for New Hampshire's Comcast customers. The show features psychic Kim Russo, the star of The Haunting of, which also airs on LMN and will be entering its 4th season. The difference is that this show does not feature celebrities. Instead, she works with ordinary people like you and I, helping them with some part of their life while using her ability to communicate with those that have crossed over. Having this ability somewhat myself, I enjoyed watching her interact with those that were not famous. It has a 3-week premiere run before it will be picked up for a full season or canceled. Please tune in if you get LMN, as this show is very good. Book reviews. You Can't Make This Stuff Up by Teresa Caputo. Teresa Caputo is better known as the Long Island Medium from TLC. This is her 2nd book and focuses more on understanding the messages we may receive from our loved ones on the other side. Even if you can't communicate as she can, our loved ones still let us know they're with us through signs and symbols. It could be something as simple as a butterfly passing you, or something as odd as smelling their perfume or cigar smoke. This is a really great book, and I hope she writes another. Until then, I'll enjoy watching her show on TLC. I also just finished last night Jeff Dunham's autobiography, All by Myself, starring Walter Peanut Ahmed and, of course, Jeff. And it was a really great book. I really suggest it to you if you want to learn more about how he got so famous. And, you know, when we see celebrities doing so well, we don't think that they might have started from nothing or they might have had a difficult childhood. We don't see that when they're on stage. So that's why I really like when they write books. So if you want to learn more about Jeff Dunham, please look up his book and read it. It's really good. Reflection Corner. Our first reading is from Revelation, chapter 14, verses 14 through 19. Then I looked, and there was a white cloud, and sitting on the cloud one who looked like a son of man, with a gold crown on his head and a sharp sickle in his hand. Another angel came out of the temple, crying out in a loud voice to the one sitting on the cloud, "Use your sickle and reap the harvest, for the time to reap has come, because the earth's harvest is fully ripe." So the one who was sitting on the cloud swung his sickle over the earth, and the earth was harvested. Then another angel came out of the temple in heaven, who also had a sharp sickle. Then another angel came from the altar, who was in charge of the fire, and cried out in a loud voice to the one who had the sharp sickle, Use your sharp sickle and cut the clusters from the earth's vine, for its grapes are ripe." So the angel swung his sickle over the earth and cut the earth's vintage. He threw it into the great winepress of God's fury. Our psalm today is Psalm 96, verses 10 through 13. "Say among the nations, the Lord is king. The world will surely stand fast, never to be moved. God rules the peoples with fairness. Let the heavens be glad and the earth rejoice. Let the sea and what fills it resound. Let the plains be joyful and all that is in them. Then let all the trees of the forest rejoice before the Lord who comes to govern the earth, to govern the world with justice and the peoples with faithfulness." Our gospel today is Luke 21, verses 5 through 11. While some people were speaking about how the temple was adorned with costly stones and votive offerings, he said, "All that you see here, the days will come when there will not be left a stone upon another stone that will not be thrown down." Then they asked him, "Teacher, when will this happen? And what sign will there be when all these things are about to happen?" He answered, "See that you not be deceived, for many will come in my name, saying, 'I am he,' and 'the time has come.' Do not follow them. When you hear of wars and insurrections, do not be terrified, for such things must happen first, but it will not immediately be the end." Then he said to them, "Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be powerful earthquakes, famines, and plagues from place to place, and awesome sights and mighty signs will come from the sky." Today's readings talk about the end of the world. So many people believed in that so-called pastor that knew when the world would end, and each time we woke up the next day, alive and still on earth. Many wondered why he kept making these predictions. Then, there are your Revelation followers who believe what the book says is what literally will happen. So the minute there is an earthquake, even if it's in California, they think the world is ending. The basic message of this gospel is that we will never know the hour at which the world will end, or in what manner. These listings of earthquakes and wars and famines and nations fighting against each other are all things that need to happen before he comes again. I like to view them as our wake-up calls that teach us to be ready. It doesn't mean that the world will end in a week. It just means God is giving us a final chance to turn from our evil ways and focus our lives on him, such as the 5 saints that we will learn today. The first, being the most popular of the day, Catherine of Alexandria. Catherine is the patron saint of lawyers, maidens, scholars, students, and the patron against illnesses. Tradition says Catherine of Alexandria was born to non-Christian, aristocratic parents. After speaking with a hermit one day, she converted to Christianity. Soon after, Catherine dreamed she was the bride of Christ and woke up wearing his ring. At this time, Christians were being persecuted by Emperor Maximinus. Catherine went to him and rebuked him for his cruelty, offering intelligent reasons for embracing Christianity. Instead of responding, Maximinus had 10 pagan philosophers debate her. Aided by the Archangel Michael, Catherine outreasoned them and converted all of them. Enraged, the emperor ordered the philosophers to be killed, yet he was highly impressed by Catherine and asked her to marry him. She refused and was beaten and thrown in prison. Many pagans visited Catherine in prison, including 200 of the emperor's soldiers. Catherine converted them all to Christianity. Maximianus, determined to stop Catherine once and for all, ordered her to be tortured to death on a spiked wheel. However, at her touch, the wheel shattered miraculously. Legend says Catherine was then beheaded, and angels whisked her remains to Mount Sinai, where a church and monastery were later built. Venerated in both East and West as one of the 14 holy helpers in heaven, Catherine was among the most popular saints of the Middle Ages. Even though she was removed from the liturgical calendar in 1969, many legends still circulate about her. For example, it is said that upon her death, milk flowed from her veins instead of blood. Catherine is also said to have been one of the divine voices who advised Joan of Arc. The bravery and intelligence of young Catherine of Alexandria continued to provide inspiration. Our next saint is Saint Mercurius. Mercurius was a martyr. A number of traditions about the life of the martyr Mercurius have been passed down since the 3rd century. According to most stories, Mercurius' father was a Scythian officer in the Roman army, and his son followed in his footsteps. It is said that Mercurius was an outstanding soldier who quickly rose through the ranks to become a successful military leader. Around 250, during the brief reign of Emperor Decius, Rome was assaulted by the Goths. Mercurius bravely led the emperor's army into battle, equipped with a sword that was given to him by an angel, and the Romans defeated the enemy. As with the custom of the time, the soldiers then celebrated their success by offering sacrifices to the pagan gods. Word came to Emperor Decius that the army's leader did not participate in the celebration. Puzzled, Emperor Decius ordered Mercurius to appear before him. When Decius asked Mercurius why he had not made the sacrifice of thanksgiving, he threw down his military garments and proclaimed he was a Christian. Enraged, Decius wanted Mercurius executed, but he worried that if he did, the people would revolt because Mercurius was a hero. So Decius had Mercurius return to Caesarea in Cappadocia under armed guard and then tortured and beheaded. Mercurius has been venerated as a warrior saint since the 6th century. It has also been said that he later appeared from heaven with a spear and a sword, and killed Julian the Apostate, and helped St. George and St. Demetrius during the First Crusade. Our next saint is not quite a saint yet, but we're talking about Blessed Francis Sadowska. Francis is the founder of the Sisters of the Holy Family of Nazareth. Francis was born to the land-owning family of Adolf and Cecilia Sadowski in Botswana, Wola on November 12, 1842. She received a thorough education at home, but her family did not attach much significance to religion. Although her parents were not an example of piety, Francis approached faith very seriously since her childhood. At the age of 13, she took the First Holy Communion and offered her life to God. At 18, she traveled with her mother to spas in Austria, Germany, France, and Switzerland to improve her health, which was deteriorating due to tuberculosis, or TB. During the 1863 January uprising, she stayed away from Poland. She understood the insurgency was a national tragedy and feared for her father, who was active in the independence movement. Francis returned to Poland in 1865. She worked as a volunteer, promoting education, religious, and moral upbringing in Polish society. She combined her commitment with a renewed faith. She decided to found a new order of sisters whose patron would be Mother Mary in her silent effort and happiness of family life in Nazareth. Pope Pius IX gave her order his blessing on October 1st of 1873. However, it was impossible to create a congregation in the divided Poland. Various authorities criminalized monastic orders in retribution for their support of the uprising. So Francis founded the order in Rome. The first community started work in December of 1875. In 1885, she went to the United States with 11 sisters, over half of the whole congregation, to work among Polish Americans. During her lifetime, the order's communities were also created in London and Paris. Francis Sadowska died in Rome on November 21, 1902. She was beatified on April 23rd of 1989. Our last two saints are actually a married couple, and one of the very few examples of beatification of a married couple in the history of the Catholic Church. They are Blessed Maria Corsini and Luigi Beltrame. Maria and Luigi were both lay activists. Maria Corsini and Luigi Beltrame Quattrucci are among the few examples of beatification of a married couple in the history of the Church. Luigi was born on January 12, 1880, in Catiana, Sicily. From the age of 9, he was raised by his childless uncle. He was still a child when they moved to Rome. He entered the law department at the best state university in the city, La Sapienza, and completed the studies in 1902. At the university, he met Maria Corsini and married her on November 25, 1905. Maria was born on June 24, 1884, in Florence. In 1893, her family moved to Rome. She studied in the College of Commerce for Women. The couple had 4 children. Of the 4, 2 sons became priests, and one of their daughters a nun. Luigi performed many responsible functions in state institutions. Despite work and family obligations, he still found time for educational and apostolic activities in Scouting and the Catholic Action. He died on November 9, 1951, of a heart attack. Maria was also involved in community and religious work. She worked as a volunteer on trains, carrying disabled and sick persons to Lourdes. She was also very active in the religious movement called A Better World. She wrote articles for Catholic magazines and later published books on education and family. Although the death of her husband was a painful experience for her, she did not abandon her writing. She remained in constant contact with her children. She died on August 25, 1965, during her summer vacation. The couple was beatified together on October 21st of 2001. Our closing prayer today is the prayer of St. Catherine. O God, you who on the summit of Mount Sinai gave the law to Moses, and by means of your holy angels miraculously placed there the body of Blessed Catherine, your virgin and martyr, grant, we ask you, that through her merit and intercession we may be able to reach that mountain which is Christ. Amen. This week's Fan of the Week is a randomly chosen Fan of the Week. The reason being, I was neglectful in posting a question this week since none of my listeners and watchers was able to answer the question I placed within the show last week. So, my instant Fan of the Week, chosen by random, is Candace Calvert. She's an inspiring and amazing author who writes Christian-based medical dramas. I would suggest you check them out. They're really awesome. I'll see you next week.